I think you mentioned to me that you didn't really have much of a Twitter account before, but you've managed to grow that even to like 40,000 followers, but not without some serious hard work. How did you do that?
When you get a boom industry like this, you get every man and his dog coming in to have a crack at it, all these opportunists, you get scams, etc. as well. And then they all sort of fall away, and then you're left with the blue chips.
You've built something incredible in Web 2, but you've obviously now transitioned very effectively into Web 3.
It's not rocket science, it's literally just hard work. It's just doing the numbers. And if you add value to 1,000 people, there's a percentage that are going to come back.
You know, in many ways, I've learned that from you. You doing this consistently every day, 365 days a week, a year, I mean, you're going to get results.
Welcome to the Arts DAO Podcast, your number one podcast for understanding the Web3 space. We chat with influential creators, entrepreneurs, and builders leading in the NFT and crypto industry, giving you decentralized access to everything happening behind the scenes with exciting projects and companies emerging in the Web3 space.
All right, it's another beautiful day here in Dubai. I'm very excited to be kicking off one of our first Arts DAO podcasts. I've got a wonderful guest here. So just a quick reminder that we have now rebranded the Crypto Shakes podcast into the Arts DAO Podcast. And so we're very excited about this change because we'll be speaking with a lot of our members here at Arts DAO who are in many ways doing incredible things, pioneers in their industry in some sense. I'm here today with Jason, who also goes by the alias, the Boss of Bali. How's it going, Jason?
Anas, how are you? Lovely to be here. Thrilled to be the first guest on the Arts DAO podcast.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're really excited. You and I, we met early last year, and pretty interestingly, it was through a DM. You do a lot of those, don't you?
Yeah, I've sent a few in my day. Sort of built my brand on DMs pretty much.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about, where you started, who you are. There's a lot about you that's really interesting because you're building in the Web3 space, but you've built also very effectively in the Web2 space. So we'd love to hear, how you got started.
Sure. So background about myself. So last 10 years I've worked in the luxury travel space. My job was to go and negotiate deals with Bali hotels and promote them on our TV show in Australia, radio, newspaper, social media. So every time I was in Bali, I was always working breakfast, lunch, dinner meetings back to back. But I was never going to be that person who would take those beautiful photos that you see on Instagram about Bali. So in the pool one day in our villa during in between meetings and trying to think of a name to come up for my Instagram page, and it was the King of Kuta. We thought of the Sultan of Seminyak. And then we came across the Boss of Bali and I was like, bang, that's the one. So we went with that, and the idea of the page was to celebrate the luxury of Bali and inspire people to travel there. So really focused on doing that and investing in my brand over the last 10 years. And I met some incredible people doing that as well.
I mean, you've grown that page to almost 2 million followers now on Instagram.
Yeah, there's a couple million there, which is
impressive. And no doubt you've, become influential through that page in the Bali kind of hotel ecosystem. I'd love to hear some of the stuff that, maybe firstly, how did you go about growing that page effectively? And what have you been doing with that page to kind of bring some value for your community or the audience you have in Bali?
Yeah, very good question. I really focused on demographics that are outside of Australia, because with Australia, everyone goes to Bali. They know Bali. 99% of people have pretty much been there. So I really try to focus on building my brand and the Bali brand in Europe, in the US especially, where Bali is considered an aspirational place. It's a 30-hour flight. People would go, oh, wow, Bali, I'd love to go there one day. Whereas Australia is sort of like, yeah, we go there 2-3 times a year. So really focused on that. And how I did that was DMing a lot of influential people in the space. So people like celebrities, public figures, well-known people, and adding value to them. So I would send them a DM and say, hey, my name's Jason. I work closely with celebrities, connect them with luxury hotels in Bali. Would be thrilled to host you one day when the time comes to travel. My door's always open for you. Just simple message like that, adding value to the conversation, building friendships. That's the idea. I love networking. It's all about building those friendships, expecting nothing in return. And what happens is, over the last few years, I've built these awesome relationships where we're best of friends with so many of them, but I haven't actually met them in person. So, which is really exciting. And I met some of them this year after 3 years not being able to travel from Australia.
You're very much living in the metaverse
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's sort of how I built the brand, and featured in a few articles like Forbes and Entrepreneur, and really, it's really exciting to do that, and to be able to give back to Bali as well, because it's been so good to me. So been going there for 20 years since my honeymoon. So it's like my second home. So yeah, it's good to give back and support the Bali community.
Wonderful. I mean, okay, so some really interesting tidbits here, how you've grown a brand in sort of Web2, e-commerce. You've managed to use the DMs, and I think this is something that Gary Vee actually talks about quite a lot. He says, go out there, find people in, what's great about Instagram and social media now is in many ways you can DM anybody, right? And if you're adding value to them and you're saying something, right, they might respond. Maybe you've sent 1,000 DMs or maybe even hundreds of thousands, but if just 10 or 20 or 30 of them respond, and those 20 or 30 people actually have something that you can offer them, right? Well, you've got something going, right? And I think a lot of people forget or even don't do that. That's something I've been doing myself with building Arts DAO and all that. And, in many ways I've learned that from you. You doing this consistently every day, 365 days a week, a year, I mean, you're going to get results.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. It's literally just hard work. It's just doing the numbers. And if you add value to 1,000 people, there's a percentage that are going to come back. Yeah. And out of those, you're going to find some gems that you're going to build relationships with. And out of those, you're going to find some business opportunities as well. My page was never the intention was never to monetize a page. It was just as a passion project, to build a brand. And it's been really exciting because it's been able to allow me to pivot into different areas, but people see I have that reputation of building that brand. So like a lot of successful people, you see them, they've been successful in the Web2 world and they've come to Web3, and you look at their track record and you go, okay, well, this guy's done this. He knows what he's doing. He's got a really good reputation. So you would think that there's a strong chance that he or she could succeed in the Web3 space.
So let's talk about Web3. It's a perfect transition because obviously you've built something incredible in Web2, but you've obviously now transitioned very effectively into Web3. You've got your hands in, BridgeVerse, which is a game that I understand that you're building or advising on. You've also invested heavily in a number of NFT collections. You've also participated and launched some other NFT collections. I'd love to hear, how did that transition kind of take place?
Sure, yeah, really good question. So when COVID hit, we stopped traveling, and that put a halt to international travel and sales. So I had two things. I could sit there and do admin for the next 2 years, or I could take some time off and try to learn something new. So I decided to get into the crypto NFT Web3 space and educate myself, join as many Twitter spaces as possible to learn, and Clubhouse as well, to find out who is a who's who in the space, build relationships with them, learn off them, and try to add value to them as well. And in doing so, studying that, spending time, it's allowed me to build these amazing relationships again, not only through those spaces and Clubhouse, but also through Twitter DMs, Instagram DMs, and my previous the brand has allowed me to sort of pivot there and get some type of recognition in my previous role. So that's how I pivoted to there now. And it's been being your own boss is amazing.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it. It's
hard work.
It's hard work. It's a big risk, but if you're willing to roll your sleeves up and do it, anyone can do it. So
yeah. What was the first NFT you ended up picking up?
The first big one, I can't remember the small one that I purchased, but the first big one was probably the Mutant Ape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I got that in December last year.
Okay.
I have a very good friend who is heavily into the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I called him up. I said, look, now's the time. I'm ready to invest. Can you help me out in picking the right one that you would pick if you had this much amount of ETH? So he helped me out there. Then I bought another one. Then obviously ApeCoin came out, and the other side came out, which I was lucky to mint a couple of coders there, which was good. But I've had a lot of losses as well. So my portfolio is probably down 80-90% like everyone else. But that's the way the market is.
The market has been challenging with the rise of interest rates. And, it's interesting because the NFT market now is very intertwined with the stock market.
It
right?
is.
And the stock market takes a hit, and that then has run-over effects to Ethereum and the NFT space. But what's interesting about the NFT space, it seems, is that people are still building. Sometimes the NFT space has been a lot more resilient compared to the crypto space because it's probably because of the lack of liquidity. You can't just sell things that easily with the NFT space.
Exactly.
But yeah, very interesting, getting into the Mutant Ape Yacht Club and, exploring that BAYC kind of ecosystem.
Yeah.
Did you learn a lot in doing that as well?
I did, and there was a lot of talk of ApeCoin coming out and speculation, so that's why I invested into that project then. And then they did their airdrop, which was exciting. And then I invested into Moonbirds, quite high.
Yeah.
I saw it at 12 ETH. I'm going, should I? And I left it. I went to like 40 ETH.
Oh.
Came back down. I bought it quite high, but look, I believe in what they're doing. They've got a fantastic brand.
Yeah.
Broken all records, and
it's fine.
Very smart people. So
Kevin Rose
is a goat. So yeah, very excited about that. In the Clonex family as well. Especially these blue chip projects, when you got this bear market coming, or we're in it now, those blue chip projects are the ones that are going to have the best chance to survive. So I think they're great investments. Not financial advice, but that's my opinion. So it's like any boom industry. What you'll see is when you get a boom industry like this, you get every man and his dog coming in to have a crack at it. All these opportunists, you get scams, etc. as well, and then they all sort of fall away, and then you're left with the blue chips. There'll be new ones coming in and out every day as well, and they will find their own niches, etc. But those big ones are the ones that are going to survive.
Yeah. So just for the audience, he's using the word. Jason's using the word blue chip here, and that comes from the stock market in a sense. A blue chip stock are the likes of Microsoft or IBM back in the day, Apple, and this term has kind of been borrowed from the stock market and applied to the crypto NFT space to refer to NFTs that are so-called blue chips because they may meet a number of parameters that, let's say, they have a strong brand or their price and valuation is high enough to kind of warrant them being something that when you're buying them, there's an element of they're not going to just disappear, right? At Arts DAO, with our DAO, we also own so-called blue chips like a CryptoPunk and Moonbirds. We've got 2 Clonex, and so I think a lot of the space right now is talking a lot about the blue chip collections. What's a new blue chip? What isn't a blue chip? It's interesting how these classifications sort of happen.
Yeah, it is, and it's just trying to work out which one's blue chip, which one's not. It's all speculation.
It's all speculation, exactly.
And what the market sentiment is, and but we're definitely in that bearish market at the moment. And I look at bear markets as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to build. It's a great time to do that, and yeah, I'm very excited about the next sort of couple of years.
So I want to talk about some of the challenges maybe that you face, because I know, you've been a member with us at Arts DAO for quite some time over the past year. And in that time, I think you've not only, you've had this great platform on Instagram, but you've also managed to kind of grow your presence on Twitter. And I think you mentioned to me that you didn't really have much of a Twitter account before, but you've managed to grow that even to like 40,000 followers, but not without some serious hard work. How did you do that?
Yeah, good question. So I didn't have many followers on Twitter. I hardly used it. I think I've had it for 8 years, 10 years, but it's pretty much dormant. So just really, it started to grow when I started to get into Web3, into Twitter, into NFTs, and spend time on those Twitter spaces. Because the more you spend time on there, the more people follow you. When they hear if you're providing value to them, they'll follow you. That's
100%.
essentially
That's
what it comes down to. Yeah. So the more value that you can provide based on your experiences in the past, what's worked, what hasn't, that's sort of how I've grown and try to cross-pollinate, get some people over from Instagram to Twitter. But it's they're different markets, right? So Clubhouse is another one where I've spent a lot of time on, meeting amazing people there as well, and try to cross-pollinate. But that's pretty much how I've grown it. Just spending time on Twitter Spaces, networking, meeting the right people.
So, I mean, great kind of sort of tidbit coming out of this for people looking to build who are listening. There's no shortcut. There are people who think, hey, you can just like buy these followers or whatever. Yep. It doesn't work that way. I have no doubt, you're saying just do Twitter Spaces, but Twitter Spaces are tough because a lot of them happen at odd times in the night, especially if you're not in the US, right? Here, for me, when we did the Arts DAO drop, I was doing Twitter Spaces every single day.
Yep.
And every single day I was doing them from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's tough.
I've been doing them for like
You've been
7 p.m. to like 3 a.m. in the morning.
There you go.
Yeah, they're like,
there you go.
Some of them are marathons.
See, that's what's not seen, right? People see, okay, you've got this big following, but maybe they think, oh, he just bought it. No, you actually put in the hours, right, in the background every single day in, day out to get there.
Yeah, it's like when I go on these awesome Art DAO ones, they're great, but they're like, for me, oh my God, where's the rest of it? It's only an hour, 2 hours. I'm used to these ones that they're super long, and some of them are valuable, some of them aren't so valuable. You've just got to be really selective because Twitter Spaces are so addictive. However, what happens is it can be counterproductive as well. Yeah. If you're spending too much time and they're talking rubbish, might be good for those people, but I'm there to get value.
100%.
And provide value. Yeah. If I can't do that, I won't join the space. So that's
and it takes time and energy. Like
it does.
Look, after a Twitter space, I'm drained.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking, you're thinking, hosting. There's a lot to do.
Talking's easy because you can zone out. You can make a coffee or whatever, have some dinner in between while other people are speaking, but it's when you're hosting, it's a different story.
Oh yeah, definitely understand that. Now I also want to explore, like, before you did BridgeVerse, you also did some other kind of advisory exploration tidbits, and you faced some challenges with that as well. I thought maybe you could talk about some of that.
Sure. I think the Web3 space it's like the Wild Wild West. So there's not much structure there. You're free to do anything, sort of like a startup, whereas Web2 is very, very structured. And Web3, like the Wild Wild West, there's lots of scams, all sorts of different people. I've advised on different projects in terms of, recommending who to collaborate with, who to market to, how to grow your audience, community, things like that. That's the sort of role that I've been doing with different projects. And then, but I had someone a few months ago who created some videos about me, said I was the owner of a project that was a rug, which I'd never touched that project ever. But for some reason, he thought I was the owner because he traced my address and thought it was thought I was the owner, which I had proof I wasn't. It had nothing to do with it. Anyway, the guy decided to create all these videos about me, which definitely hurt, and definitely I had lots of people ask me about it, like a lot of friends, etc.
Exactly.
Then you're having to justify yourself when you haven't done anything wrong. So after about a month, he contacted me and offered an apology that he was wrong, and a public apology on Twitter, which I was thankful for. And then we sort of moved on from that. So, yeah, I don't really hold grudges against people. But it's like, you just got to be careful and learn your lessons.
I think the real takeaway from this is this Web3 space, it's not a B2B kind of business right now. It's very much B2C. You are in front of a lot of people who are not necessarily always professionals. Some of them are retail consumers. They're also young people, right, between the ages of 18 all the way to 35. But there's a lot of people in that sort of 20 to 25 age group. There's a lot of Gen Z.
Yeah.
And the NFT space has basically become a space where you can launch a project it's kind of like an IPO, right? There's a bit of an IPO going on, and you're selling some kind of, it's an asset that can go up and down. And if you're involved with it, and these people then get, they see it, they lose money, they'll come after you, right? Yeah. And that's maybe some of the things that people in the space don't talk about, which is, there is that mob kind of issue sometimes, or that cancellation culture that can emerge that you got to be careful about.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you're a founder and you're a builder, right, you also need to have the resilience to know that risk exists and how to deal with it, right? Which obviously you've managed to kind of like.
You got to be a specific type of person. You have very thick skin, so you're going to have to push the negativity aside, know when to engage, when not to, and just work out, is that going to be worth your time to someone trying to cancel you, or create FUD, or that's super negative. You just got to block it out. Like, otherwise you're spending all your time that's counterproductive on something that's negative, that's not going to take your project forward or yourself forward. So it's all a learning experience, and I think this year I've probably learned so much. It's been such a wild ride, right, for everybody who's been in the space. So
it's constant.
You go through different emotions and you learn how to handle different situations, and that's a great thing. So out of all of this, that's one of the great things about it, just experience.
So let's talk about BridgeVerse. So I love this. Like, you've got this kind of history in Web2 where you built an audience, you've done some work, and then now you've taken some of that experience and learned, from the ground up how to build. You've bought into NFT projects to kind of build up that understanding. You did a little bit of a maybe deeper exploration, faced some serious challenges, built your audience on Twitter, and now you're taking that in a different direction. You're, actually now advising building your own project in the gaming space, right?
Yeah, so I met a gentleman called Brian Walker on Twitter Spaces. 0 followers, one of the smartest people I ever met. He's got 3,000 followers now, by the way. But what I'm trying to say is followers don't mean anything. Yeah. It's all about the value that you provide. Brian's one of the smartest people I've met. Ex-film director. He was a film director with James Cameron on Avatar.
Oh, wow.
So he pioneered that motion capture 3D space. So you remember when Avatar came out, it was like a movie ahead of its time. And that's what Brian was a part of and pioneered that. So also worked on Mandalorian, Lion King, just to name a couple more.
So he worked on all those projects. I mean, those films. They're not projects.
They're films. Those films,
Hollywood
they're
films.
huge.
Yeah.
Like, they are monster blockbusters.
Yeah.
So he worked on that, and then he came into the Web3 space and studied it, spent a lot of time on Spaces for months and trying to work out how he could solve a problem. And we looked at the space, and it was like, there's all these metaverses, but they're all separated. How do you have this asset go from this asset, or mingle or socialize or play against each other? So Brian formed this company called BridgeVerse, which the goal was to bridge the metaverses together. So we spent the last 8 months building a team. We have a team of 145.
Wow.
Most of them are senior engineers from the top gaming studios around the world. And the goal for BridgeVerse is to be the Epic Games of the Web3 world, where you own all your digital assets, whether it's skins, guns, etc., weapons. But also we have this tech where you're going to be able to turn your PFP within seconds into a 3D avatar that you can use to play on all our titles. So not just one title, this is your avatar. You're going to be able to have your own and play it through all our titles. So that's sort of what we're working on. We got early access to Unreal Engine 5 from Epic Games at the end of last year, and we've forked our own version. So the goal was to bring that cinematic feel to the Unreal Engine 5 platform. So we're super excited about that. And yeah, we're in our Series A round at the moment where we're raising 20 million. We have some big backers. We've got one of the top law firms in the country in the US that is a partner in BridgeVerse, and also Michael Turpin, who launched Ethereum ICO and over 150 other ICOs. So Michael's considered the godfather of crypto. He has an outstanding reputation. He's fantastic with tokenomics, and we have a token launching in 12 months from now. So yeah, it's really exciting to be a part of a company from the ground up that's trying to build tools to solve problems in the metaverse or in the Web3 space. So
wow, look, again, a lot of things to unpack there, where you're building. I mean, one of the issues you highlight definitely is that the metaverses are all separate, right? That's an issue, 100%. The other thing is, the cinematic part. I was thinking about this deeply, and a lot of the metaverses right now, if you think of Sandbox or Decentraland, they're what's called low poly count metaverses, i.e. the graphic quality isn't necessarily the best. It's sort of got that Roblox kind of vibe to it. And the question I'm wondering is, will people be using those kinds of platforms, or will they go for the so-called high poly count metaverses, right? The ones that are realistic, high quality, cinematic, these kinds of things. If you look at video games, Call of Duty, right? In my day, I used to play like Halo, whatever, right? These are high quality visuals now. I mean, the quality of them right now has really grown substantially, right? So it's an open question now, will these low poly metaverses really survive, or will they kind of be superseded by so-called high poly metaverses?
Very good question. I think that the tech is always evolving. So in 12 months' time, there's going to be even better. The poly count that we have is one of the highest out there. It's pretty much second to none. So we've really tried to focus on that. In terms of the other games are amazing as well. Their graphics may not be as advanced as ours, but there's definitely a huge place for it. I think with games and titles, it's just like the stock market, they go up and down. So you'll get one at its height, and then it'll come down, and then new titles will come up and take some market share, and it's just like stocks. So
100%.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what comes out at that time. And I think with Web3, it's all about educating the Web2 people to play the Web3 games. So when we're launching tournaments in the next couple of months for our titles, where you got first prize will be $1 million, you'll be able to play for blue chip NFTs, Ethereum, etc. The goal is to entice and encourage those streamers, the gamers, to come and play our titles for free, which will also attract their followers as well, who will play our games for free before we launch the play to earn in 12 months' time. So,
well, I'm really excited to see this through. You're obviously here at Arts DAO. We have the DAO as well, and be interested to see whether the DAO can participate in some way, whether that is through a whitelist with your project, or if that is in some way directly getting involved. That's one of the wonderful things I think I'm quite happy with Arts DAO is with this community. There's so many builders happening within that, and I'd love to just kind of touch base with them and see what's going on, because you never know, there might be that 10x or 10,000x project right there in the community that you can be part of, right?
Absolutely. And there's so, like, being here just for a week in Dubai and seeing the Arts DAO community on last Friday and yesterday, just meeting incredible people that are building in the space. And it's just, there's so many awesome opportunities out there, and really excited to see the Arts DAO community build. And I'm very, very blessed, very fortunate to be part of the community. It's awesome. I love it.
No, I'm happy that you DM'd us.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's how our relationship started, right?
Yeah.
It was through DM. So I love DMing people. It's the best way to network. Can't remember when I last sent an email. It was quite a while ago. The Web3 world, it's all about DMs and WhatsApp, and but no, very. It's the biggest Web3 community in the Middle East, and it's very exciting to see the vision of Arts DAO and what it's doing and the people that it's bringing on board. It's an awesome hub, and excited for things to come, what's to come.
So just to round this up, because we're hitting on time now, whenever we do these, we like to kind of end with a couple rapid fire random questions, which get people to know you a little bit more. So first question, do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. I love to play golf. However, I wouldn't say I'm talented at it, but it is one of my passions, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. If you were not doing what you were doing right now, right, what would you be doing?
I would probably be focused on real estate.
You'd be in real estate.
I love real estate. Okay. So I'm actually building some villas in Bali at the moment as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's another
little
project.
Side venture that you're doing.
Yeah, so I love property, been in property for a while as well, just
no surprise.
Portfolio
no surprise. I mean, I can see that linkage with the Boss of Bali IG page.
Yes, there's stay tuned, there's lots to come there, but no, I'm excited about that, and that if Web3 wasn't around, I would probably most likely be in real estate, I think.
Maybe you can host the Arts DAO community.
Arts DAO party,
Bali, right?
absolutely. That is
Bali,
the plan. That is a plan. I know Tuesday's working hard on it. I know Danosh is there now, scouting some venues.
Man, Danosh is having a huge spiritual awakening right now in Bali.
I can see. It's awesome.
Okay, final question. What's your favorite restaurant in Dubai?
Oh, geez, there is so many. The gastronomy in Dubai is the best in the world.
So, if you were to choose one,
Shanghai Mi.
Oh, DIFC. Yeah, that's a good place.
Incredible.
Great Chinese food.
Chinese.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Can't go wrong.
Well, dude, listen, this was a blast. I really enjoyed the discussion. I think we covered a lot of great stuff. And, I can't wait to see where you take BridgeVerse. Can't wait to maybe catch you in Bali. And look, a big love from the Arts DAO community.
I hear you're coming to Bali very soon.
Oh, yeah.
Test the waters.
Oh, yeah. That could be. It's on the cards.
Awesome.
But thanks for coming on the Arts DAO podcast.
Thanks,
and
my friend.
on to the next. We'll see you
Beautiful.
soon.
Have a great day, guys.